So on a night we should actually be talking about Jokic's stat line, the Joker is just unbelievable tonight. 33 points, 16 assists, and 15 boards in the Denver Nuggets 122-116 home win against the Miami Heat. But no, we are not talking about that at all, or any of the other stuff that went down in the National Basketball Association, like the return of the Ant-Man to MSG. By the way, the Knicks ended up destroying the T-Wolves in that one. Instead, we are going to shift gears at least for one night and actually talk about the word greed. And specifically, we are going to dive into this absolutely ridiculous, if you will, standoff between a $3.4 trillion market cap company, which of course is Alphabet, which owns Google, versus a $200 billion market cap company in the Walt Disney Company, which of course owns ESPN. That is going to be our featured topic on tonight's NBA Rundown. We are 2,500 plus subscribers in. Please go ahead and subscribe. We're trying to get to 5,000 by the end of the NBA season. Also, smash that like button. Okay, now that my greed and, if you will, groveling is done, let's actually get into our main story. Now, I'm also going to talk about the National Basketball Association tonight and how they're actually holding me hostage in a slightly different way than, of course, YouTube TV versus ESPN is. We're going to get into the NBA's own version of being extraordinarily greedy, which has certainly affected me personally since the start of the season, and I know it's affected you as well. That's our second story on tonight's show. But we begin with YouTube TV versus ESPN, and I'm just going to summarize this down to some easy to understand math. Now, basically, where we're at is ESPN wants to charge YouTube TV more money to actually carry its channels. And YouTube TV doesn't want to be extorted. That is really where we're at this point. That's really what this is all about. ESPN's trying to get a couple extra bucks out of YouTube TV. YouTube TV does not want to give ESPN a couple extra bucks. Now, of course, YouTube TV could turn around and charge charge people more money and find a way to actually not actually lose any money. You have to remember, YouTube TV is owned by a very wise organization. The good folks over at Alphabet are worth $3.4 trillion. They know what they're doing when it actually comes to math. Now, as Gordon Gekko once said, greed is good, which, of course, Wall Street's one of my all-time favorite movies. And in this particular case, I would say greed is bad for Alphabet and Google and, of course, YouTube TV. But if I had to blame anybody for this particular situation, I'd actually have to turn to the side of the mothership and put the blame directly on them. The reason I wasn't able to actually watch Monday Night Football or any of the great college games on ESPN's wide-ranging range of networks this particular weekend, at least on YouTube TV, is simply because ESPN is trying to get a couple more bucks that, quite frankly, they don't need. Now, of course, YouTube TV could have caved because they certainly don't need those extra bucks as well. But in this particular case, if you're really wondering who's to blame for this, who's really to blame for this, you could actually have some statistics and say 60% of the problem or blame goes to the mothership. The other 40% goes to YouTube TV. So at the end of the day, this whole thing is absolutely silly, and I will be amazed if this doesn't actually get resolved before we actually hit a second weekend of college football not being available to 10 million fans on the YouTube TV platform. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, the only reason I actually have YouTube TV is simply because of the National Football League package. I was extraordinarily upset to find out that the NBA package, by the way, was no longer available on YouTube TV. And if I wanted to actually watch the NBA package on one of the streaming services, I would actually have to go to Amazon Prime. Now, we're shifting focus to our second story, which, of course, is the NBA version of greed is good, but for us, the fans, it's actually bad. Now, I just want to say this. Given the choice, just from a usability perspective, remember, I'm here in the Silicon Valley. YouTube TV's performance when it comes to fast forwarding and rewinding and multi-view and all of the advanced features that YouTube TV has that Amazon Prime has tried to roll out are not even close. It's like black and white TV versus a flat screen 8K TV. I find the interface on Prime, the slowness and the inability to actually go back and forth the way I can on YouTube TV, archaic actually on Amazon Prime. Now, of course, we still went ahead and paid for the NBA package on Amazon Prime because I've got to see my favorite out-of-market teams in Northern California. Now, a couple of those teams are the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers. Go watch or listen to some of our early podcasts and you'll understand why I'm a fan of both of those teams. That being said, when I go to Amazon Prime now and I watch the NBA package, and if the Los Angeles Lakers, like tonight, are on nationally televised game, that particular game is the second game of an ESPN doubleheader, I'm not actually able to watch the Los Angeles Lakers at all. Same thing could be said from tonight's game at MSG with the Minnesota Timberwolves. In other words, my two favorite basketball teams were both on national television tonight, which was ESPN, and I was unable to actually watch those games. Now, of course, I was able to because I threw out a couple extra bucks so I could get that ESPN app right now, and I'm able to actually catch those games. But not everybody's in the same position to actually go ahead and do that. On top of all of that, I shouldn't have to do that. I'm paying the NBA a considerable amount of money to actually have out-of-market games. Now, I understand that they want me to go get a subscription to Peacock. I understand that they want me to pay for ESPN someplace. I understand that they want me to get Amazon Prime. I get it. I understand how this business works. But at the end of the day, I am a disgruntled customer of the National Basketball Association right now because I don't think I should have to pay for all of those other services after I've already paid for something called the NBA League Pass. It should have an option to include all of the nationally televised games as well. The fact that it doesn't, of course, is part of the overall monopoly that the National Basketball Association, Peacock, ESPN, and Amazon Prime have put together, at least for the North American market. I have to say, it is so highly disappointing. Now, I've seen a lot of videos and heard a lot of people talk about this particular topic, and there's been some confusion about who has the game and where is the game, and certainly I've ran into that where it looks like it's a doubleheader on NBC on Tuesday nights, but it's not. At least it's not for me. I've got to go to Peacock for the first game, and then I can go to NBC for the second game. Look, at the end of the day, I just want a simple way National Basketball Association of paying for everything. And the way you've actually set it up at this point, especially in the era of YouTube TV and ESPN not getting along, it even shows me how greedy you all have become. All right, everybody is greedy at this point. And I think we all suffer. Ultimately, we, the fans, ultimately have to pay more if we want to watch what we want to watch. And I'm a big fan of capitalism. I'm a big fan, as you know, of the Silicon Valley. I'm a big fan of companies being able to grow to the $3.4 trillion size. I'm a big fan of what Walt Disney has done as a company over the years. But I'm still not a fan of paying for something like the NBA package, which, by the way, is completely different than the NFL package. I get the NFL package, and I understand that I only get the games on Sunday night or on Sundays. I understand that. But for the National Basketball Association, whose teams play 82 regular season games, not 17 or 18 or how many it actually is in the NFL now, is absolutely ridiculous. If I pay for something called the NBA League Pass, I should be able to actually see, or at least have an option to pay a little bit more to see every game, including the nationally televised ones. All right, please go ahead and drop in your comments. I promise we'll get back to basketball tomorrow night. It has been a great night of hoops in the National Basketball Association. The Wemby game, which I'm not currently watching, which I'd love to talk to you all about, currently has the Lakers losing by 1 with 3:54 to go in the game. And if you're wondering how Luka is doing, Luka has 32, 13 assists, and 8 rebounds so far in the game. So far, he's winning the MVP battle against Wemby. All right, go ahead and drop in your comments, as always, for the NBA Rundown. I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day. That is, if you have a place you can actually view the sports when you want to be able to view them.